Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I am going to be creating what I call Stamp and Goes. Now, these are just some of the stamps that you can really just stamp and you're done. So, of course, these are going to be useful for background stamps, and I thought I would show you just how gorgeous we can make these. Simple, beautiful, but really do speak volumes. Now, I have a couple of backgrounds here that are pre-made and ready to go from previous videos I've created. I am absolutely more than positive that you have some backgrounds lying around, something that you could use. If you don't have pre-made backgrounds, then that's fine too. Use a piece out of a paper pad because that is going to be the same thing, and if that's what makes you happy, then absolutely go for it. Now, the stamps that I'm going to be using today are from Creative Expressions, but specifically by Andy Skinner. Now, I really love this style. It's not going to suit every single card I create, and it's not going to suit every single recipient. However, these are just absolutely gorgeous, and I have two of these. Now, I always cut these up to, make them my own. So this one had like some little birds or maybe some flecks. I'm not sure what it is. It's just the style, the sort of whimsical style of these. I cut them off because I don't need them in this one part here. And then on this one, this one is called Oh, the Places You Will Go. And that is just, you know how sometimes it just rings true with you. You just absolutely love something. Well, that sentiment, that saying, I absolutely love. And I think that that just makes for beautiful, easy cards. I'm going to pop this in my stamping platform, and with these red rubber, you obviously can't see through them. I just find a point on here that you think you can line up. But I have an even better trick, and actually this is going to lead to completely different style of cards, but let's just try and stay on track for this one. I put it where I think I want it to go, and then I bring in an acetate sheet. Now, I just use any acetate. I have the Hero Arts 5x6 acetate sheets because they are the ones that you can die cut beautifully. These are what I have, and so I have one specifically just in front of me at my crafting space, my little crafting space, and I use it just for this. So I ink it up with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I have just temporarily held the acetate down with some mint tape over top of my picture, and I want to check. Does it look straight? Did it stamp right? Is it perfect? And yep, I'm more than happy with that, so actually we are good to go. That just saves me from disappointment. Now, I know that some people are absolute pros at lining up red rubber stamps. Some people, like myself, are not, and I just don't want to ruin it. I don't want to risk ruining it. So for me, using that acetate trick is just so simple, and it guarantees that it's going to turn out the way I hope it's going to turn out. Now, I think this is a little boy holding a gorgeous little balloon, and I just love the sketchy nature of these stamps. I love the detail. I really, really love them. Now, I've got the little sentiment here again. I'm going to sort of line it up. With words, you just really don't want to get them wonky. It doesn't have the same effect when they're not straight. So I just take my little cloth and I give one wipe over here. It gets rid of the ink. The ink is not going to dry on there anytime fast because it's acetate. It's non-porous. And so I put it over top of my picture again, line up the sentiment where I think I want it to go. I think it's going to be straight. Pop the ink on it. Double check, and actually by some miracle I got these pretty good today, and so this does not always happen, I will tell you, and I left enough space on purpose down the bottom that I was able to pop the sentiment down there. That's where I was planning to pop it, and so I can happily stamp this now knowing that it's in the right place and I'm not going to waste an image or that background that I've already created. At the moment, this is a full sheet of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so I'm going to use my Spellbinder's guillotine and just trim this down a little bit so that we can, make the card a little bit fancy. But actually, I'm going to quickly decide, because this is the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, it's a pigment ink, it stays wet for a bit longer, and so that I don't smudge anything or ruin anything, and it just adds that little shiny element as well, I will throw over some clear embossing powder, and then that way I will heat set it. I know it's not going anywhere no matter what I choose to do from the image from here. The words are going to be nice and crisp and beautiful. I always use the super fine embossing powders when I can get them. the clear one. This one comes in superfine, so it's beautiful. It means that words don't get all sort of foggy and muddled together. It ends up really nice and clear and able to be read. Now for this one, I'm keeping this a really quick video today, so I'm going to pop this on some Concord and Ninth matte silver cardstock. As I said, I always like to add in, just a teensy bit of shine, just a little element of something, because we're creating pretty simple cards here. But I also think that that's sort of part of the punch that they have. It's absolutely just gorgeous. You're focused on the image, and I really love that little saying, as I said. This is going to go onto a soft navy coloured card base. It is a side fold 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch, and it is just a nice contrast from that pink, and then that silver provides a little shiny element as well as a little bit of that embossing. Now from here, I could have put splatters on the card. I could have done some, like some sequins, just something a little bit delicate. We don't want to take over the image, but I just really like this as is. We could go further though. Now, I want to show you a couple of other options as well that I have used. Now, this here was a piece of vanilla malt cardstock. It has some vintage photo, just layers of Distress Oxide. I cut it in half, then I popped it onto a card base. So now it is a nice card base for me. I have the same image stamped here. Now this was onto a background that I hadn't used up. This is one of my go-to backgrounds. These are using mini ink cubes, and this is just one of my favorite ways to use them. So as I said, I had a background spare and ready to go. I have a whole video on the mini ink cubes, which will already be up on my channel, so you'll be able to see that too. But I love the contrast of the sort of the wine colors, the deep reds, as well onto the browns, creams, vanilla kind of color in the background. So I thought that was something a little bit different and a little bit out of my comfort zone, honestly, as a card background. But when I used this black piece here, I didn't realize this had some stick-it adhesive on the back of it. So why not use that? This was a piece that was already in my stash. So clearly I had added some double-sided adhesive sheets and then popped it back for later use. So we will use it today. Making sure the card is the right way, because who hasn't done that before? And then pop this down onto the card base. Now again, this is a little bit different, but absolutely stunning with just one single stamp and its little sentiment, and it is good to go. I think this one might be my favorite, but hold on, we'll see the next one as well. Now, I have the other little image there as well. I got these couple of new ones to play with, and so that's why I am focused on these two. Of course, there are other designers, there are other stamps out there by all means that you can do this with. I am just showing you this design in particular, and just remembering that card making doesn't have to be complex. You can use just a single stamp, just stamp it in black or a plain color over top, and it is absolutely good enough. It is good to go. Now this is how the red rubber stamps come, by the way. You can peel off that backing, and then you'll be able to pop these onto acrylic blocks or onto your stamping platform lid or whatever you have. These red rubber stamps they stamp beautifully. They always stamp nice and crisp, and that was one of the beautiful features of why they used to be so popular. They're not as popular now, but still beautiful nonetheless. I'm going to do the acetate trick here again. I have cut out a rectangle out of the Deckle edged dies, and I will pop on my acetate sheet just to make sure I've got this ready to go, because sometimes even when I think I have it lined up, I don't, and that's okay. And it should also not put you off using red rubber stamps, just because we are quite used to the cling stamps these days. We're really used to, the ability to see through them and see placement, but I don't think we should overlook the red rubber stamps. They are just gorgeous. Now, I certainly wasn't paid to do this. No one contacted me. I don't know who Andy Skinner, I don't know the designer or Creative Expressions. I just really like these, and I just think that it's a really easy way to make a beautiful, beautiful card. Now, I knew I wanted space again. I want to use that same sentiment because I can't get past it. So I did just use a piece of copy paper. Because I have that sticky grid on the back, I can stick it down, either side, press it either side, and it's going to stay in place and mask that beautiful little area down the bottom for the sentiment. Now this one here, I mean, you could actually stamp this twice and just draw in their arms like they're holding hands, and then how sweet would that be? So I get all new ideas from this. Even just on this sheet of acetate, imagine you could add some clear embossing powder to that, and then you could use that as an image in a card. So I've got ideas for that. But anyhow, I was trying to stay on track at this point. And my point for this one is you don't have to have a pre-made background or a colored black background or a, partially colored or anything like that. This is just a plain white, simple background. We'll add in a couple of other things to make this card gorgeous. And I want to show you a couple of comparisons, what it can do when you change the card base color. But anyhow, I tested out my sentiment on this one. It's actually in the right place. I must have been having a great day. It's not that hard, and once you get used to a stamp as well, placement becomes 10 times easier. Now for this one, I'm also going to coat this with the clear embossing powder again. This is also a security feature against myself so that I can't smudge these images. You absolutely can skip that step, in particular if you stamp in dye ink, it's going to dry faster as well. Now, these are the two, these are the Concord & Ninth matte colours. I used the matte silver earlier on, so I'm going to use the matte gold for this one. I have a little piece cut just slightly bigger than my background piece. I am not really one for measuring. I will say I just really hold things up against each other, eyeball and think, yeah, I need about that much off. Sometimes I might use a thumbnail to make a little dint where I need to cut, but give or take, I just cut, measure. Sometimes I have to cut again, sometimes I get it all right, sometimes I have to cut 3 times, and that's okay. Now we are all, a different type of person. Some people just like to measure and get it nice and precise and perfect, and I applaud those people. Now, this one here, I'm going to use my little trick with the 4 tabs out the side. You just pull a little tab out of each one and have a piece in the center, a piece of double-sided tape in the center, and when you're ready, you just pull out each tab, and then that way everything is all lined up. I know you've seen that trick many times before, but it is a good one. Now I do quickly want to point out that was the white card base. I now have the fog coloured cardstock behind this one, and then the next one is going to be the navy coloured cardstock. So quickly vote, which one do you think would really set off this picture? I do like the navy. I think the gold behind it is gorgeous. The fog is nice but not quite the right neutral. For me, this is the white. It just makes the image absolutely pop. It makes the gold really shine. So let me know in the comment section down below which one would you have chosen. But it is just a reminder that actually try it out on some different coloured card bases. I was set to have a colour behind this because I thought that would provide a bit more interest. But actually the white just really makes that card pop. Now these cards all beside each other, they kind of clash a little bit when you show them like this. I think to see their actual beauty, you sort of need to look at one card and just focus on it, because then you see the individual details rather than comparing them to the one beside it. So when I look at these, I just absolutely see that gorgeous pink in the background. I do think I might add a few more splatters into the background, some pink just for that one to add some interest, maybe some black. And then this one here, I really like the white. This image just pops, and I love the sentiment, oh, the places you will go. And I think that is just such a hopeful thing to read. So anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's inspired you in some way or another, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks, bye!